back to Lee Snyder Stadium. We're joined now by Coach Montgomery, the high school football coach here at Bixby, America. And Coach, third grade matchup, Bixby Red, Broken Arrow Black. Tell me a little bit about your Bixby Red team.
Gosh, this Bixby Red team has just really been hitting stride during the playoffs. Last year they were here in the championship game and lost to TYA. Turned around and beat them by about 25 points here in the playoffs just a couple days ago. So we're expecting a great ball game, much improved ball game, much improved football teams. What's Broken Arrow got for us?
Well, Coach CO has 15 years of experience. He comes in here, kind of a neat story there. He comes in with two assistant coaches, Ryan and Randy, who happen to be his sons. He coached one of them in football all the way through the INFC, coached his older son. Now he's back with a group of kids that obviously he has no sons left on the team, but only 3 of these boys have ever played football before. They come into the ball game undefeated, so it should be a pretty low-scoring defensive struggle between red and black. Bixby takes on Broken Arrow.
Yeah, no, I tell you what, kind of much of the same in the Bixby Red. Great coaching staff, a lot of good football players. I can't tell you how much I'm anticipating this matchup.
Well, before you got here, Coach, we had 2 ball games already completed. The Stillwater Blues second grade took on TYAA. They come away with a 12-6 win, and it was South Tulsa, the defenders, over the Claremore Zebras, 21-7 in the first grade game. And now we'll go down to the field for the player introductions for our third grade shootout.
Number 6, Brody Baxter. Number 7, Pierce Roller. Number 11, Kate Roller. Number 22, Jake Van Pierce. Number 25, Austin Vaughn. Number 26, Cole Seeger. Number 28, Ben Puckett. Number 31, Kay Dinsmore. Number 37, Maddox Regan. Number 39, Tegan Mercado. Number 40, Boyd Coffey. Number 42, Amar Crawford. Number 45, Jack Gill. Number 65, Marcus Kern. Your offensive coordinator, Brian Puckett. Defensive coordinator, Don Coffey. Assistant coaches, Mike Roller, Jeff Machado, and Eric Gill. Your head coach, Clint Vaughn. Now introducing your Broken Arrow Tigers. Number 1, Will Ward. Number 3, Isaac Holt. Number 8, Hunter Kicker. Number 11, Hudson Arnold. Number 13, Becca Kaylee. Number 18, Eric Cunham. Number 19, Luke Fulmer. Number 21, Gavin Berger. Number 22, Preston Gould. Number 23, Luke Brent. Number 33, Lakota Breedlove. Number 49, Alex Dana. Number 54, Kason Ism. Number 64, Tate Mathis. Number 87, Jackson Ayers. Your assistant coaches are Ryan Seo, Chris Dana, Donald Kaling, Justin Gogol, Joel Ism. Your head coach, Richard Seo.
And that concludes our team intros. We'll be back with the third grade championship finals next.
We're America's #1 sporting goods store, and we're always open. Every season starts at Dix.com. It's the sale you wait all year for. The 0-0 event going on now at Classic Chevrolet. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Chevy Silverados, only $399 a month. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Traverses, Camaros, Impalas, Malibus. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Chevy Sparks, only $149 a month. 0 reasons not to get to Classic Chevrolet today. The 0-0 event going on now at Classic Chevrolet. Online at ClassicChevrolet.net.
The Indian Nations Football Conference Championship, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods, is brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts with Dick's. And by Classic Chevrolet. Save time, shop online.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. John Rice, Coach Montgomery from Bixby High School, and we're about to watch the third graders. We've stepped up just a little bit as far as the size of kid is concerned. The Broken Arrow Black Tigers take on the Bixby Red Spartans. And Coach, talk about some of the young men that are watching the game across the way.
Man, I tell you what, our entire community is so excited to have three teams in the championship games here on Championship Saturday. I see a bunch of our high school football players lining the fields over there. You know, a lot of our guys have youth teams assigned in our Spartan Pals program and have friendships with the coaches and the players, and it's just so exciting. And we're set to kick off here, and Broken Arrow Black set to receive.
Jack Gill actually teed it up for the Spartans. He'll kick it away, and as Coach talked about the excitement in the communities, I know it was the same in Broken Arrow as there was a shout out on the Facebook page for Broken Arrow from a couple of the varsity football players, and this is how you build for the future. Coach, I mean, you know that better than I do, but this is your feeding program for later on down the line.
Without a doubt, you get these guys in, get them enjoying and loving football, and this is what it's all about right here. This is an intense situation right here, and looks like Broken Arrow Black getting ready to line up for that interlocking quarterback sneak play that they run against everybody, where the offensive linemen interlock hands and they basically run a quarterback sneak. And I saw the Bixby Red team down working on that pregame, putting in a special defense for that.
Will Ward will run the offense for the Tigers. He'll turn a lot and hand the ball off to Ayers and Franks, and on the first play they'll pick up 3.
This Bixby Red team's a team that was here in the championship game last year, came up a little bit short. But in the semifinal game to get here today, they played the TYA team that defeated them last year and just dominated them up front. So you're seeing a much improved team this year out of our Bixby Red team.
For the snap, we've got our first penalty of the afternoon, and it's going to be on the defense. Somebody lined up in the neutral zone, so we'll just call that encroachment defense.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Coach Vaughn's going to be a little bit upset with that. I heard him talking to his guys pregame a little bit about drive extenders and drive killers, and those silly penalties like that are ones they want to avoid. But I know they'll get it dialed in. Just looks like a little nerves here early.
One of the things you talked about so many returning players for Bixby Red, kind of the opposite's true for the BA Black squad. They only have 3 returning players. All the rest of them are new to this team, and Coach Cio has been doing this for 15 years, and he said as far as this group is concerned, they always they preach attitude and effort.
Yeah, and you know, that doesn't change whether you're a third-grade football player, high school football player, or just an adult in life. You got to control the things that you can control, and that's attitude and effort. And it looks like Broken Arrow gave one back there. They had a shift, but it was one of the offensive linemen that already had his hand down, so that's an illegal shift right there. Broken Arrow running some personnel, new personnel group in on the field, and we'll take a look and see what we have here, but we're back to second about 8 yards.
Will Ward will run the offense. The Spartans will go with about 6 men up front and 3 in the secondary, with 2 of those up front men being on the defensive end. They'll try to steal the edge. Tigers will cut it to the outside, but that will draw a flag. I think we've got an illegal block in the back.
Yeah, there's a great carry right there by Preston Gudgel out over the left edge, and I tell you what, he did a good job picking up some blockers, but it looks like somebody must have had a little bit of bit of laundry in their hand getting that corner, and that's an unfortunate thing sometimes about the stretch play. Your tight ends and your receivers that are out on the edge blocking are right there, highly visible situation for those officials. So I do think it was a good call for Coach calling that stretch play to their sidelines, but now they've put themselves in a long yardage situation, so let's see what they dial up.
Dinsmore actually was credited with the last tackle. We'll do a little shifting up front as far as the Spartans are concerned. We'll switch our two defensive guards, as they'll probably think the Tigers may be coming back to this right side, Coach.
And it looks like a down and around play right there for the Tigers, but it's bottled up, and we're going to be another long yardage situation right there. Ben Puckett on the tackle. He's got a brother that's an 8th grader in our program that's going to be an excellent football player, Jack Puckett, so he comes from good stock, Don.
Gudgel on the carry. The Tiger offense will look over, but they'll have it 3rd down and long. We're going to call it 3rd down and about 14.
Now, I tell you what, I was impressed by that Tiger down and around play right there. That's a stretch play that I know Coach Alexander and his high school staff run a lot with their high school team, and no doubt they've been on the chalkboard a little bit with their 3rd grade staff here.
Tigers come with a little razzle-dazzle and into the secondary, and look out! Inside the 20, 15, 10, Arnold will take it to the house.
Wow, great play design right there. Hudson Arnold on the touchdown. Looked like they ran a little counter play set up off that down and around sweep action they had. Just great play design, great execution right there. Got a couple pullers out in front of them. Very impressive play right there by Broken Arrow Black. Hats off to Coach CO for being creative and dialing that up.
One of those teams where I know you know this as well as anybody out there, but one play kind of sets the other play up, and you can kind of see what Coach CO was doing. He ran that down and around 2 different times and then come back with a little reverse action off of it. That's something that the Spartans will have to clean up, or we'll go see that play again.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I see the Spartans down there running a little bit of a bear front, taking care of that inside running game. And hats off to this BA Black team for having answers and counters for everything they're doing.
Holt for the Tigers said that the point after was good, and sure enough, the officials will confirm it, and that was Preston Gudgel that put it in the end zone. The Tigers will take a 7-0 lead, and we'll have a Tiger kickoff coming up in just a bit.
I tell you what, very impressive right there. Preston Gudgel doing a good job getting in behind his blockers, being very patient. I tell you what, there's a reason this Broken Arrow Black team is here in the championship game. They've got a great team and very well coached.
We told a little story about Coach CO's team. I'll highlight one of the coaches for the Bixby Red group is in charge of the offensive lineman, and he's always talking about pancake blocks. So apparently on one of the afternoons where practice got rained out, he took all the kids to IHOP. Well, he forgot to check with some of the moms, and so all the kids couldn't get there at the same time. So Coach was stuck at IHOP for about 3 hours feeding pancakes to this Bixby Red group.
Well, I tell you what, Don, I'm a former offensive lineman. I can think of a lot worse places to be stuck than IHOP. So I'm sure that was Coach Machado, who's a former offensive lineman himself, and so I'm sure he was well fed in his 3-hour stint there at the IHOP.
Tigers will tee it up. They're set to kick it away. Kaleem, number 13, will do the honors for the Tigers, and so often here in the lower graders, they won't kick it deep. They'll do a little short kick, and they actually did a little okey-doke on the kick where Kaleem actually faked it. The other guy kicked it, and who got the football?
Looks like the Spartans jumped on it, but excellent play design. I tell you what, the creativity here by the Broken Arrow Black coaching staff is very good. That's a little onside kick that we keep in our back pocket because we have 2 guys. We have a right-footed and left-footed kicker, and that was just excellent play design. I bet we see that again.
Austin Vaughn heads up play for Bixby Red. He was there to scoop up the ball, and the Spartans will take over 1st and 10. Ball rushed at the 39-yard line. Their first chance to go score as the Tigers took the opening kickoff, put it in the end zone, and made the all-important extra point to take the 7-0 lead.
The Broken Arrow staff is a very seasoned staff, very good staff, and you can see that, as is this Bixby Red staff. Clint Vaughn, led by Clint Vaughn, who's been doing this for a long time. Excellent motivator, excellent manager, and he's got a great staff underneath him.
First carry of the afternoon will go to Clint's son, Austin Vaughn. We'll give him about 4 on the play. Second down and 6 as the clock works inside of 5 minutes in quarter number 1.
And the Broken Arrow defense bowing their neck and hold them to about 3 yards right there. And when you're able to hold a defense or hold an offense and make them continue to snap the ball, it's tough to go 45 or 50 yards.
One more time, the Spartans will work out of the gun. They'll come with a little action back. I thought they would hand it off, but the quarterback comes on the keeper. Might have been a little bit of a busted play, or he could have been reading the defensive end on that one.
Yeah, a little misdirection, and that was a good job right there by the Spartan offense. And I'm sure Coach is telling them right here, you got 4 downs, telling his offensive coordinator you got 4 downs. Brian Puckett's the offensive coordinator right here, and you'll see him, just like the Broken Arrow Black staff was, he's probably setting up a few things that he has, some counters, and you got to work whatever your bread and butter is.
Spartans will come to the line of scrimmage. They'll survey a 3rd down and 4 play and stay in the gun.
It's pretty impressive to see these teams come out and execute a shotgun offense. You see motions, you know, a lot of good stuff going on right there. And that Black Swarm defense right there just bottles them up. I see big number 64, Tate Mathis in on the tackle, and a bunch of those defensive linemen. Just what a great defensive effort.
First decision for the Bixby staff, do they punt or do they go for it here on 4th down? And for those that are watching their first 3rd grade INFC game of the year, you don't actually punt in the 3rd grade. They will just walk off a 20-yard punt, but the Bixby offensive coordinator says, we're going for it, and they'll go back to the gun.
Yeah, Coach Vaughn, he's very aggressive by nature, and I know he's going to go for it in this situation right here. It looks like maybe they're trying to draw him off sides, pick up a cheap 1st down, but the discipline shown right here by the BA Black defense.
Sager does indeed take the snap, and the ball's loose. First Tiger back, there's big number 55, or 54 that is, Cation Isham, and the ball will go over to the Tigers on downs.
And it looked like the Spartans were trying to shift and go student body right there, but a little mishandling of the snap, you know, puts the ball on the ground, and we're going to turn the ball over on downs right here to Broken Arrow, and gosh, they're powerful offense right here. And let's see what Coach CO comes up with right here.
Right before the change of possession, we did have a chance to peek at the Lady Tigers, the cheerleading group that was on the sidelines. Well, I'm sure we'll get a shot of the Bixby Spartans before it's all over, but before we go any farther in the ball game, we would indeed like to thank both of the cheerleading groups for helping make INFC Championship Saturday so special. And as I'm talking, there was a big-time play from one of the little guys on the Spartan defense.
Jack Gill, number 45. And Jack is new to the team this year. He's a first-year player, and Coach Vaughn was just raving about him, the way he anchors in that defensive end, outside linebacker position in the 3rd grade right here. You know, basically we're playing 5, 6, 7-man fronts, but he's a book in there, and you see his talent right there, not only to get upfield, but to make a great open field tackle.
After losing 2 on the 1st down, Ward will bring him to the line of scrimmage and come with a little handoff right straight back up the middle. The fullback with the push. That's Holt on the carry.
Isaac Holt right there doing a good job being patient with a little fullback dive, trap type action, and a very good execution right there. It's going to bring up a 3rd down and 5.
How many 3rd grade teams do you actually see that can actually pull off pulling a lineman?
Yeah, and this Broken Arrow Black team, they've shown that they can pull linemen not only on down and around plays, they've shown them some counter action, some GT action, pull guards and tackles. And when you take a look down there at their big guys, they're very athletic. You don't see a lot of chubby, slow guys. Come right back to it there on the fullback dive to Isaac Holt, and try to pick it up, and it's going to bring up a critical 4th down situation right here for both teams. Let's see what they come up with, Dom.
Trace Nessett didn't make the tackle on the last play, but I tell you what, he was the first one to put a helmet on him, slowed him down for help to arrive, and then the Tigers look at the first critical 4th down of the ball game with less than a minute in quarter number 1.
Yeah, number 37, Maddox Reagan, and number 2, Trace Nezit up inside. I tell you what, those guys are doing a really nice job of anchoring the middle of that defense.
Before the snap, it looks like the Tiger coaches want to make sure that they're all on the same page as far as what play they called, and so the coaches will all get together for just a second. I'll tell just a little quick story about the coaching staff that Coach Co's put together. It's also kind of interesting that you'll see the name Ryan and Randy Co on that team as well. That's his 2 boys. Well, he coached one of those young men all the way through the INFC. He also coached his younger son. This is about his 15th year coaching with the INFC, and he said that this year's been pretty special. And being a dad, I can understand that. I umpire a lot with my sons, and it's really neat when you can go to work and have your one of your kids with you.
And that's what it's all about. You know, I tell you what, coming out and developing relationships, father-son relationships, and that's a special deal. I know every Friday on game day I still have lunch with my dad and, you know, talk about the game, get caught up, and you know, that's just something that's very special, memories that those guys are going to take with them the rest of their lives.
After talking it all over, with 52 seconds left in quarter number 1, the Tigers still will elect to go for it on 4th down and about 4. Tigers do not go out of the gun. They'll come traditional. Handoff comes back to Beckham, but the Spartan defense will have none of it, and they'll take the ball over 1st down.
And then once again, that's first-year player Jack Gill, and he's just dominant over there. I tell you, they're trying to run over there to their boundary, which is smart as far as from an officiating standpoint, but big number 45 is having none of it. The Tigers tried to line up and run that counter play again that they scored on a little while ago, and hats off to defense coordinator John Coffey over there for coming over and making a little sideline adjustment, probably on that timeout, knowing that they were going to come back to it. And number 45, Jack Gill, just really bottled it up inside.
Spartans have a chance to do something with just 30 seconds left in quarter number 1, and they'll stay in the gun, and they'll put a man in motion. Second back through will get the carry. He'll pick up about 3 on the play, and several of the Tigers get there in a hurry. Ayers will lead the way for the defense.
Great carry right there on the ISO play, pick up about 4 or 5 yards. And if the Spartan offense can put together a drive and be patient, they've been giving up the 5 yards in the middle all day. And that's going to take us to the end of the first quarter, Don, pretty quick right there.
We'll be back with more football right after this from Dick's Sporting Goods.
It's the sale you wait all year for. The 0-0 event going on now at Classic Chevrolet. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Chevy Silverados, only $399 a month. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Traverses, Camaros, Impalas, Malibus. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Chevy Sparks, only $149 a month. 0 reasons not to get to Classic Chevrolet today. The 0-0 event going on now at Classic Chevrolet. Online at ClassicChevrolet.net.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Lauren Montgomery and Don Rice getting ready for the second quarter of the 3rd grade INFC Championship Finals. Coach, just as we thought, lots of defense. Defense wins championships. Both of these teams come in undefeated.
I'm impressed with both of these teams. You look out there at the talent on the field, and you see some athletic guys that can run around. And I know this Bixby team has a whole lot of guys that do our SPA program every summer. And a couple of them that have done our foundations program where we teach them basic fundamentals of movement. And when you look out there on the field, I know you see Puckett and Roller and number 45, Jack Gill, and I could go down the roster, but there's some athletic guys out there that can run around and move, and they're making plays out here on Championship Saturday.
First play of the second quarter, and the Spartans will look over a second down and about 6. High snap, but handled well by the quarterback.
Great carry right there by Austin Vaughn, just showing good patience. They're in the offset eye and run a little bit of misdirection coming back to the weak side. Similar to that counter play that Broken Arrow's been running, Bixby comes back and runs their version, and it's going to bring up 3rd down and 2. Critical situation, and let's see what offensive coordinator Brian Puckett dials up right here.
Always important to make that first guy miss, and that's exactly what Austin was able to do there. Number 74, actually 64, Tate Mathis helped on the tackle for the Tigers. 3rd down. One more time, at high snap, but we'll come with a toss sweep, headed right at us. He'll shake and tackle.
Great misdirection play design. Had a lead blocker, had a puller out in front, but it looks like that open field deal, you got to keep your feet moving. Got a flag on that. I tell you what, looks like he had a nice kick out block, but the running back stretched it to the outside, and sometimes that really puts that lead blocker in a bind right there, not knowing where the running back is. I think maybe if we could have cut that up inside, it would have protected our blocker just a little bit. And so that's going to bring up a 3rd and long situation. Just the situation that we've been in on the last 2 drives that as a play caller you hate to be in, because, you know, you're only going to get maybe 6 possessions in a game in these 3rd-grade games because the clock runs so fast.
Well, as Coach Montgomery talked about, the Tigers' defense held on the play. The Spartans will take the timeout, and both teams, in a way, have kind of shot themselves in the foot. It was a 15-yard penalty that moved the Tigers back on their last drive. Now the Spartans give it back in kind. We talked earlier, too, about the fact that we've got both cheerleading groups here. We again had a flash there of the Lady Tigers.
And they are getting this Broken Arrow crowd up here. I tell you what, we had to ask them to turn the crowd mic down just a little bit because that Broken Arrow crowd is raucous down there. So great job to the Broken Arrow fans for doing an excellent job of supporting their team. And I tell you, people don't realize what a special deal this is to make it championship Saturday. You're talking about, I don't know, you probably know, Don, how many teams are in a bracket right here, or how many 3rd-grade teams are in the INFC. It's a bunch.
Well, I know there's over 250 teams in the entire conference. So as you talked about, there's probably, I'm going to guess, somewhere around 60 3rd-grade teams alone that these 2 teams spot their way through. And as we talked earlier, they both showed up here on Championship Saturday undefeated.
And
3rd down now.
And you got teams from all over the state right here. And Bixby Red coming out with a little motion. And a naked bootleg play right there.
Sager will try to get it to the outside, but Isaac Holt made a nice play.
You know, that's heads-up defense right there. Broken Arrow's doing a good job playing heads-up defense. They got their contained players being disciplined, staying at home, not sucking in with the bootleg action, and they're right there to bottle them up.
You mentioned the word containment, and I'm sure that's a word that is going to be preached to these defensive players now until their football career is over, because I'm sure you holler that a lot on a Friday night.
Yeah, if you're a contained guy, you better know who you are and what you have. And I know that my old high school coaches and my little league coaches always talked about CCR for those cutback guys, counter, cutback, reverse.
The Spartans, one more time, they will not punt. They'll go for it on 4th down, but before the snap, we have a penalty on the play, and it's delay a game. So that'll back them up 5 more yards and may make the decision a little easier. I don't know, not trying to coach the team, but I'm going to punt and go play defense right here.
The officials are spotting the ball and marking it ready for play quickly. These officials that we have out here at Lee Snyder Field today are all varsity officials. In fact, many of them you'll see, and we have them at our game on Friday night.
You know, that's one of the things I know that Chad Lott, and before Chad, his father Tom, is very, very proud of, is the fact that every official that we put on the field, from Mighty Mites all the way up, it's not like when I played and you just tossed the official's jacket to Joey's dad and let him go out and officiate the game. These are, as Coach mentioned, they're all high school certified officials. There's a training process for them, and they do a great job. I know sometimes we get frustrated as coaches with them or as fans, but 99.9% of the time the calls they make are right on.
Yeah, and being an official is a tough deal. Our official last night, Brian Metter, that we had, we were just talking about how many times plays are overturned on instant replay, or how you can't even tell a lot of times on instant replay. So very impressive that Chad and INFC requires these guys to be certified, and I know the Greater Tulsa Officials Association works very hard to make sure that we have some of the best officials, and I see that on Friday nights. The officials we get over here on this side of the state on Friday are just some of the best.
Will Ward comes back from the sidelines. He'll bring the play into the huddle, and he'll anchor the offense as he always does at quarterback. Ward on the carry with a lead blocker out in front. Ward will stretch it out as far as he can, and the Spartan defense will run stride for stride with him, so it's very little gain on the play. Maybe could have had an opportunity to plant that foot and get upfield.
I tell you, Broken Arrow coming back with that down and around play that they run so well. I know that's probably been their bread and butter all season. And number 23, Luke Franks, did a really nice job of getting out in front, but the Spartan defense setting that hard edge out there, making those outside yards tough to come by.
That was actually Tate Roller, too, in the middle of the play, caused the runner to bounce it to the outside. Ball came loose as the Tigers worked it into the secondary. The officials make the signal for fourth down, so one of the big boys for the Tigers will save the football, but now Coach Seo will have the same decision to make that the Spartans had just a moment before. Do we go for it, or do we punt it and go play defense?
Spartans lining up in that split six defense, and that's tough to run to, especially when you got a guy like Maddox Reagan up inside, number 37. He's doing a good job anchoring that A-gap, and people don't realize what a game-changing position a good defensive lineman is.
Tiger coaching staff says that no need to punt. We'll go. A little bit of confusion of the linemen. We may have to take a timeout, and I think they will.
Sometimes when you dial up these special plays for 4th and long or 3rd and long, you got a special formation or a motion and a little trickeration going on, and if it's not something you've run a whole bunch of times or practiced just a whole bunch of times, you can have some problems, and it looks like that's what happened right there for the Tigers, and they elected to make the smart decision and go ahead and take a timeout.
I agree 100%. As far as the timeout's concerned, you can't make a mistake. With just 3:58 left in the half, if the Tigers can pick up this first down, it could give them an excellent opportunity to go to the half with at least a 7-point lead. Coach talked about it earlier. There's only about 6 possessions per half, so each team theoretically has 3 possessions per half, and if you can run the clock for as much as you can while you have the ball, obviously your chances of winning go up. Ball control and defense wins a lot of ball games on any level.
It absolutely does, and it comes down to not putting yourself behind the chains.
Actually had a new quarterback in for the Tigers. We see the first pass of the afternoon.
And it looks like Broken Arrow was setting up a great play, a throwback screen, but read perfectly by the Bixby defense, and that's a turnover on downs, Don.
That's Jakin Pence was the intended receiver. I'm not exactly sure. I wasn't able to. Trying to look at the monitor and trying to watch there, and I think the ball might actually came in on one hop, so the Spartans will indeed take it over. 1st and 10, ball at the 48-yard line.
So impressive right here, all the work that these guys have put in. When you think about starting practice around August the 1st, and we're all the way into November here, all the hours that the coaches and the players have put in, just hats off to such great work ethic. Big hit right there by number 54, Kason Isham. We're calling his name a lot. He's a force right there in the middle. Big, athletic defensive lineman. What a great player.
That brought some of the Tiger fans on their feet. And when I'm doing the PA announcing a Broken Arrow, I typically say Kason just said good afternoon, and he did.
Yeah, he introduced himself to the ball carrier right there.
2-yard loss on the play. That'll put the Spartans a touch behind the chains, but nothing that they can't overcome, as we've seen that their offense that is, can strike in a hurry as well.
You know, when you get down to these big games, it just comes down to matchups, and you got to know who the great players are and where they're at right there. You'll notice.
Loose. Spartan running back was able to get it into the secondary, but an arm came out and knocked it loose. But I think the Spartans, in fact, they did. They were able to cover the football, and they'll look at third down. He was almost off to the races, Coach.
Great play design right there. Very, very impressive, and a good job getting vertical. Got to carry that ball high and tight. And once again, great defense right there. The Spartans electing to run away from big number 54. They've spotted that. They've spotted that Isham is a force to be reckoned with. Just like on the other side, Jack Gill, the bookend defensive ends, and you got to get a feel for that from a personnel standpoint as a coach on who you want to avoid running to or maybe run to as far as matchups go.
Third down and 7. The Spartans will come with a little bit of a fake reverse. Speaking of fake, they had me faked out. I was getting ready to say that they were going to come with a reverse, and the quarterback kept it. They'll move the chains. A big first down for the Bixby offense.
And a great play call right there, because had they handed the reverse off, Broken Arrow had played it perfectly. We're sitting back on that CCR. They're contained players like we talked about, counter cutback reverse, and we're ready to go. Great play design right there by offensive coordinator Brian Puckett. I love the game he's calling so far.
Ball spotted at the 29-yard line, 1st and 10. Drake snapped the quarterback. He'll keep it. He'll work into the secondary, make the first 2 guys miss, and a nice down and distance on first down. He'll pick up 5 or more.
Great patience right there by Cole Sager running up inside, and brings up about 1:52 left, and you'll see Bixby Red lining up, getting the play called fast, trying to fastball that Broken Arrow defense, maybe seeing some hands on hips right here, trying to wear them down.
Quarterback again will call his own number, but this time Esham and company were there in a hurry for the Tigers. They'll get some help from number 13. That's Beckham, and we've got a timeout taken by the Bixby Spartans as their coaches understand that with 1:34 left in the first half, getting the score knotted at 7 or at least getting it within 1 point could be big in the second half.
Absolutely. A game like this is going to come down to one score probably, and so every single possession is critical. Right here, this is a big third down call, obviously 2 down territory. And let's see right here what Bixby Red dials up. I really enjoyed watching the sweep with the fake reverse action. You know, caught him in man, so the reverse action ran a player to the opposite side of the field and allowed them to get the quick edge.
You know, when you first sat down here, we talked about how we don't really care which team wins, obviously, but the only thing that we don't want to happen is a 5 what? Overtime game.
Oh, of course, yeah. No, and sometimes these games, you have 2 such evenly matched teams, they do come down to overtimes over the years, and I think this is probably my 7th year to get to do this. You know, we've been off and on every year, but I've seen some great games, and a lot of times these guys end up being really good football players at the high school level. As many years as I've been doing this now, I see the guys come all the way through, and as a coach, it's fun to see these guys come from Little League, INFC, all the way up to the varsity level.
Tate Mathis stopped off at the official and got him to tie his shoe for him. Now we're set and ready to go, and it's 3rd down and short. Talked about misdirection earlier, and it's the Spartan quarterback with the stiff arm and inside the 10. 1st and goal, Spartans. Another excellent design play as they fake the handoff, and the quarterback keeps it around the right side.
I tend to agree right there. They lined up in an unbalanced right or offset eye to the right, and I thought that they were going to try to run the ball at Isham, and great play design coming back with a bootleg the opposite way, and a great carry right there by Austin Vaughn, showing off his wheels, and that's a 1st and goal right here for the Spartans.
Credit, I'm trying to find the number right here. That's number 11, Tate Roller, with a nice block on the edge. Got a penalty on the play.
And you probably recognize that name if you're from Bixby, sitting here listening to this game. The Roller name, such a historic name. Lots of great football players, lots of great wrestlers, and You know, having that name on the back of your jersey in Bixby carries a little bit of pressure, a little bit of weight, but these guys are ready to it. Ready for that. Tate and Pierce, such fierce competitors, twin brothers, and I know they got an older brother, Sloan, on the high school team, who's going to be a great football player for us as well.
After the penalty, that's going to mark the ball back to about the 12, so we're going to go first and goal from the 12, and the penalty was delay a game. And I know it's tough sometimes, even on the high school level, to get your play called and executed in the 25-second situation. Think about how difficult that can be for third graders.
Yeah, and there's not a play clock either, which makes it even more difficult. You got to look at the umpire as he's stepping it off. And we come back again with this bootleg right here. Again, Austin Vaughn. And I still like the play call, but once again, you know, once we get behind the chains and we have those drive killers, it makes it much more difficult. 47 seconds, electing to go ahead and use a timeout right here.
Isham came down hard as the defensive end had made the quarterback turn upfield, and just as he turned up, Isham was there to make the stop. The Spartans will use their second timeout, and they'll look at second and goal. Ball still rested about the 10-yard line.
Kason Isham, man, he's just shown out today. What a phenomenal football player. He's big, he's physical, and I know Coach Alexander loves seeing guys like this coming up through his program because he's an offensive lineman, old offensive lineman, and puts an emphasis on offensive and defensive line play.
Well, speaking to Coach Alexander, the Broken Arrow High School team, much like the Bixby Spartans, opened the playoffs last night in a positive manner. In fact, if you follow football kind of like I do, the West is done, aren't they, Coach?
Well, in 6A1, yeah, it's a all-East final. I think you're going to have Union and Broken Arrow, and you will have Jinx and Owasso, both of those rematches from earlier in the season.
The Spartans, again, they'll come to the line. It's second and goal, fake the reverse. The quarterback heads to the corner, to the 5, touchdown Spartans.
Austin Vaughn coming back on that fake reverse again, sweep over the right side. Wow, what a great play. Austin Vaughn showing off his wheels. Such a talented player here in the Bigsby Spartan football program.
Kay Dinsmore with a nice block out in front, and that was just speed to the corner, Coach. Maybe, as you said, the option to fake the reverse might have slowed the defense down a step or two, but I think he had his sights set on that corner, and he got there in a hurry.
Yeah, excellent play right here, and then this is going to bring up a very important extra point situation right here. You know, a lot of times these games come down to 1 or 2 points, and let's see what happens.
Both crowds are on their feet. As Coach talked about the importance of the extra point, the second back through with the lead, and did he get there? He did. And we're going to be tied at 7.
Looks like Ben Puckett there on the dive play, if I got the number right, and great blocking right there for the big guys up front. Created a nice wedge on the ISO play, and just excellent football right here at just the third grade level. So proud of both of these teams. We got a game on our hands, Don.
Well, we talked about them being evenly matched up because both teams are undefeated, and so with 40 seconds left till we go to the halftime break, we're knotted at 7. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, we'll have a halftime presentation from both the cheerleading groups. First, we'll welcome across the way the Lady Spartans. They'll be followed by the BA cheer team. And we always like to give credit to all the cheer parents, their moms, all the coaches. They have this equal part of INFC football as the boys do. So, ladies, from us up here in the booth, thank you for all you do for making youth football as exciting as possible. What would football be without cheerleaders?
Well, and then you mentioned moms too. Broken Arrow team mom, Debbie Dana, she does an excellent job of feeding these guys and organizing these guys. And I know if it's like my son's sports teams, it's always the moms that are really running the show behind the scenes. These dads' names are on there as head coach, and they get to do the X's and O's, but moms are really the ones in charge.
Spartans kind of go with a little short kick, and it's covered nicely by one of the up men for the Tigers. I believe that's number 13 for the Tigers that falls on the football. So the VA group will have a chance to bring their offense back out, and they'll have the ball 1st and 10 from midfield.
So right here, I tell you, Coach Vaughn is talking to his team about not giving up the big play right here. Let's keep everything in front of us. Don't bite on any reverses. You contain guys, keep contained, and let's take it into half. I know Broken Arrow should have one more timeout if I'm not mistaken, and they go with their big quarterback sneak wedge play right there that Coach Vaughn told me about before the game, and that eats up a little bit of clock.
Eats up a little bit of clock, and that's about 6 yards. So that's one you might want to put back in your memory bank, because if the Tigers would happen to get out ahead in the second half, they may go to that play just simply to milk some clock. They're going to go to it one more time.
And probably not a bad design with everything softened up in the middle right there, playing kind of a prevent type defense. And they pick up about 4 more yards right there on that wedge and elect to use their last timeout.
Coach CO elects to use a timeout, and this may not be a bad time to see our reverse again, Coach. As you said, we've kind of softened the middle up a little bit, get a little fake action into the middle, and come back with your reverse that you scored on earlier.
Yeah, reverses and counters right here are what I'm preaching if I'm on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, the throwing game is somewhat limited here in the 3rd grade to bootlegs and throwbacks and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's basically everybody, sit back, do your job, do your responsibility, and don't let anything sneaky get by us.
Coach kind of hit the nail on the head. You probably won't see the ball put up in the air much before or around the 5th grade, and even a lot of the 5th grade teams are kind of run-oriented. But once we reach the 6th grade, which, as you know, because you're going to come back and do the 6th grade game for us, we've got a Bixby team in that grade as well, they'll put the ball in the air a little bit in 6th and 7th grade.
Yeah, no, each year that goes by, the skill set of these guys increases just a little bit. Still at the 3rd grade level, we're talking blocking and tackling, although these teams got very advanced schemes and are running a lot of counter plays and down and around with pullers, which I'm very impressed with. But still, the throwing game's just a little bit limited.
So with 4 seconds left in the first half, and the score knotted at 7. We're looking forward to coming up at halftime. As we talked about, both cheerleading staffs will perform. The Tigers set maybe to go with the wedge play again. Instead, the quarterback will pull it out, and he'll come down the line of scrimmage, but nice containment assignment football from the Bigsby group. Number 2, Trey Nessett, was there to make the stop, and that will indeed take us to the break as the officials get it sorted out as far as who will start with the ball and what end of the field. And if I remember correctly, I think the Spartans will start the second half with the football.
Yeah, and what a great first half of football right there. I tell you, tied up, all knotted up at 7. Both teams showing great offensive and defensive schemes.
Now we'll go down to the field with Charity for some on-field interviews.
So, Coach, you were doing really well with defensively. What has been key to stopping Bixby?
Their interior line is so good, so well. We got to try to keep them from getting penetration on our second-level linebackers. If we can do that, we'll be fine. They're playing well.
Okay, now switching sides to the other side of the ball, offensively, you guys hit that in the first quarter, that touchdown, keeping that momentum going. How will we be doing that coming back after the half?
Well, we're going to try to settle down and just play. Their defensive line, they're so well coached, so much talent over there. We're just going to keep driving straight at them, try to shorten the game, and see if we can't win this about 13-12.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Coach CO, and thanks, Charity. We'll be back with more football right after this from Dick's Sporting Goods.
It's the sale you wait all year for, the 0-0 event, going on now at Classic Chevrolet. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Chevy Silverados, only $399 a month. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Traverses, Camaros, Impalas, Malibus. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Chevy Sparks, only $149 a month. 0 reasons not to get to Classic Chevrolet today. The 0-0 event going on now at Classic Chevrolet. Online at ClassicChevrolet.net.
As a mother of 3, I've seen the positive impact sports have on kids. At Dick's Sporting Goods, we believe everyone should have the chance to play. And if cost ever gets in the way, that goes against everything we believe. So we're stocking new gear at lower prices and introducing the best price guarantee. If you find a lower price from a competitor, we'll match it. Because it's not enough to offer you the best gear. We need to offer it at the best price.
Coming up next, the Lady Tiger Cheerleaders, your halftime fun.
And now, your Tiger Cheer. Introducing first, Jovi, Avia, Jasara, Juliet, Harris, Demi, Alyssa, Jaden, Riley, Violet, Violet, Jasmine, Allie, Taylor, Addison, and Ariel. And that's your Tigers here. Lady Spartans, would you please come back out and redo your routine for television? Unless you don't want to be on TV. Your Spartan cheer. Your Spartan cheer.
Back to Lee Snyder Stadium. Thanks to both cheerleading groups. We'll be back with more second half football right after this.
It takes enough. Down.
We're America's #1 sporting goods store, and we're always open. Every season starts at Dicks.com.
It's the sale you wait all year for. The 0-0 event going on now at Classic Chevrolet. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Chevy Silverados, only $399 a month. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Traverses, Camaros, Impalas, Malibus. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Chevy Sparks, only $149 a month. 0 reasons not to get to Classic Chevrolet today. The 0-0 event going on now at Classic Chevrolet. Online at ClassicChevrolet.net.
The Indian Nations Football Conference Championship, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods, is brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts with Dick's. And by Classic Chevrolet. Save time, shop online.
Welcome back to Lee Snyder Stadium. John Rice and Coach Lauren Montgomery, and we're knotted at 7 for the championship game in the 3rd grade division. Down to the field for Charity Barton.
So, Coach, let's talk about that last play. How is it going to help you into the 3rd quarter?
Well, it took us a little bit to get some momentum this first half. I think that last drive and that last play especially really pumped us up, get us ready for the 3rd quarter. We get the ball, start the 2nd half.
Is there anything you guys will be doing differently coming into 3rd quarter, defensively or offensively?
I think we're doing great. We let up one big play, and I think otherwise we've been doing fine on defense. Offensively, we got to get better blocks on the front, on the offensive line, and just try to spring loose some good long runs. So.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Charity. And Coach, we're back. 3rd quarter action. All we're waiting on now is the kickoff. And I had a 50-50 chance of getting it right, and I think I did. The Spartans will start with the football to start the 2nd half.
I am pumped for this 2nd half. We come back knotted up 7-7. And both teams ready to go. I'm sure both coaches have talked through what their opening series play calls are going to be right here. I know a couple coaches down there on the Bixby sidelines are probably talking about keep it away from big number 54, who has just been dominant on that Broken Arrow defensive line.
Opening kick, or actually the kick for the 2nd half, will come in on one hop, and it's fielded nicely by Puckett. He says, that's no problem. I'm used to quarterbacking this group, so I can field the kick. And we have our first injury of the afternoon. Hopefully nothing serious. We'll clear both teams out and let the coaches come out and look, and that'll give us a chance to talk a little bit and kind of recap the first half. Both offenses had a little wrinkle here and there, but most defenses, or both defenses that is, held up nicely.
And what we've seen is if both offenses can avoid delay of game penalties, holding penalties, that both of them have been able to operate all the way down the field. And so if I'm coach over there talking to them, I'm telling my guys, hey, keep your hands inside, let's hustle to the line of scrimmage, get set, and let's get the ball snapped, because each team is averaging 3 or 4 yards a carry when we're running the ball inside. And I know it's so frustrating as a coach. We preach the same thing to our high school guys. Get up there, get your hand in the ground, get set, we got motion. Those sort of things play such a key role on the execution of a football team, and kind of parlaying that into Saturday. A team like Kansas State, Bill Snyder makes a living by having teams that are disciplined that don't make mistakes like that.
That was Hudson Arnold that was shaken up just for a bit. And as I took a chance to look down on the field just in time to see Coach Theo kind of pop him on the top of the helmet about 2 or 3 times, so I knew immediately he was going to be okay, and he is, and that's what we hope for, is that we make it through the entire day with little or maybe a few bumps and bruises, but no real injuries. Did the Spartans run the little fumble Ruski right there?
I couldn't tell what it was right there, but it looked like we got a crease over the left side, and Cole Sager running violently right there. I tell you what, looks like he's running at a little bit different speed than he did in the first half. I wonder if Coach Roller and Coach Vaughn and those guys got over there and gave those boys a little bit of pep talk and are going to get them going right here. But about a 10-yard run right there, bring up another first down.
Well, your prognostication was exactly right. They ran away from Isham on that first play of the second half.
I think you're probably going to see a lot of that as they go back to the left side right here. And that's number 25, Sager again over the left side, ripping off about a 7 or 8 yard gain right there. So it's not rocket scientist, whether you're in the NFL, whether you're in third grade INFC. You got to find out where your matchups are, and if there's a dominant player, you got to find ways to negotiate that guy, whether you're going to trap him, whether you're going to run away from him. Those big defensive linemen are game changers. And let's see what Broken Arrow's adjustment is to this left side attack running away from number 54.
Spartans come back to the line of scrimmage, and they'll survey a second down. They got a second down and short, about 4 to go. Inside handoff will go to number 25 that time. That's Austin Vaughn one more time with the carry, and I think he's got enough to move the chains.
Yeah, averaging 5 yards a carry right there. It's going to boil down to, hey, can we eliminate the penalties? Can we not hold? Can we continue to figure out where Big Case and Isham is so that we put ourselves in an advantageous look to run the football?
This Jackson Ayers on the last tackle. And another thing the Spartan offense may think about is starting to take a little time off the clock, but they're going to go in a hurry. And so many times, if that's your offensive style, it's hard to deviate from it.
You'll see Lakota Breedlove out here at his corner position, and he's big responsibility that running over the right side is so difficult. He does a good job from his corner position containing everything, and there he is right there. The defense spills everything out to him, and he's in on that tackle.
Ben Puckett, I believe, on the last play read the defensive end, so he was crashing down inside. He faked it to the running back, and then he kept it off the right. Picked up about 7 on the play.
I'm just so impressed at the level of execution that requires, because when you're going to run those read plays and those dives, it just takes so much practice time and so many reps. But once again, these teams are out here practicing 3 days a week since August 1st, and so the 1,000 rep rule is showing out here with these championship caliber teams.
Coach talks about the 1,000 rep rule. That's one of those where you don't move on to the next play until you've got the first play down to a science, so to speak, so you can run it without any mistakes. And the Spartans do it one more time, and they'll move the chains. 1st and 10, Bixby.
Another good run over the left side. Jacob Pierce, just an excellent block right there. I love watching those big guys get dirty and do work up there up front. Yeah, and run over the left side, getting up there, sprinting to the line of scrimmage, snapping the ball quick.
I wonder at what point will the Tigers maybe make the adjustment and switch Isham to the other side of the defensive front, Coach?
Yeah, they got to notice that here pretty soon. And another crease over the left side right there. Big gaping hole on the left side. Great run right there. Ben Puckett on the run, number 28. He's been a force on both sides of the ball.
Puckett will get it inside the 5 all the way down to the 2-yard line. So it's 1st and goal from the 2, and the Spartans look to take their first lead of the afternoon, barring a turnover here.
Yeah, let's see. You know, when you get down here in the red zone, everything has a tendency to tighten down. The defensive line starts pinching. Let's see what the Spartans come up with.
Spartans again will align in the shotgun set. The second back through will get the carry and the lean, and I believe he's in there. All we have to do now is check for a spot, see if his knee came down first.
They're marking it 2nd down. It looks like he was maybe just a little bit short right there, so it's going to bring up 3rd and goal. Or excuse me, 2nd and goal.
2nd and goal, but the ball is at about the half-yard line.
All right, I see the coaches over here trying to move guys over and things like that. Looks like they're lining up a couple extra linebackers over there to the left side because they've noticed that all the runs are going to the left side. And that's a great adjustment right there by Broken Arrow to get run through there on the dive play. It's going to bring up 3rd down.
Well, they didn't move Isham to the opposite side of the ball, but he was able to come down and scrape down the line of scrimmage and actually helped out on the last tackle. And as Coach talked about, some adjustments to be made on both sides of the ball. That time it was advantage Tiger. But again, the ball's inside the 1, 3rd and goal.
Yeah, and Luke Franks right there from his linebacker position got the blitz call on those inside linebackers, getting penetration, and just you can't allow any run through down here on these goal line situations.
Look for the Spartans maybe to take this one a little bit wider, and they say, no, we're going into the middle, and the Tiger defense says thank you very much because they'll make the stop for about a 3-yard loss. And you see a couple of the Tigers on the sidelines giving the fist bump. So everybody's fired up on both sides of the ball.
And up with the middle.
And now we come at 4th and goal.
Once again, Luke Frank's in on that. I tell you, he did a really nice job squeezing down the line of scrimmage. Saw the play going away, saw a down block, squeezed that thing, ran the hill line of the offensive line and made that tackle. And when he arrived violently with a host of other Tigers.
Quarterbacks and running backs get all the publicity a lot of times in football, but this is where the big boys can make their money, either pushing it across for the Spartans or the Tigers holding on 4 straight downs. Inside the 2, high snap. Quarterback fakes it. He'll come to the far side. Touchdown, Spartans.
Love the call right there. Austin Vaughn on the bootleg. They've been running left. Broken Arrow began to overload that side and ended up hitting the naked bootleg right there with nobody home. So great play right there by the Spartans. Great goal line stand for the most part by Broken Arrow. You know, it's tough sledding up inside. Yards are tough to come by today. And that ate up all but 2 minutes of the third quarter right there. So very limited on your possessions. I said we'd probably get three possessions per half.
And this one we may just get 2 because the Spartans started with the ball, and they're going to, as Coach talked about, burn about 6 minutes off. And now we're back to what we've always talked about in INFC championship play, the all-important extra point.
Many of these games come down to this extra point right here, and so a lot of thought. You know, these guys at practice, they have a list of their 2-point conversion plays that they practice every week. You know, you talk to a lot of these coaches like Coach Vaughn, and he goes in on his play sheet with a list of 3 or 4 that he feels very comfortable with, that they're going to practice all the time, so that when they get in this situation, it doesn't require any thinking. They look right there to their list and make that call. And talking about Coach Vaughn, the head coach, you know, I've always heard as a head coach, the more you do, the longer they keep you around. I see Coach Vaughn hustling water out there to his guys while the rest of the staff's getting them coached up, and the Broken Arrow staff, Coach CO and his guys, you know, giving a pep talk up inside, keeping those guys motivated because this is still anybody's game.
Well, Coach talked about the 2-point conversion, actually how the rules are set up here in the INFC. If you run it in, you're going to get 1, and if you kick it, you'll get 2. We won't see probably anyone attempt to kick much before about the 5th grade, but that always puts a little different twist to the ball games. As we get upper in grades, if you are able to kick your extra point, think about it. Each time you score, you have an opportunity to get 1 extra point. The teams that can't kick, a lot of times when they get to these ball games, are in trouble.
A lot of variables when you're snapping an extra point, you're holding it, you're kicking it. A lot of variables. So definitely, I see why it's worth 2 here in the INFC.
The Spartans, again, they'll set 3 backs in the backfield, come with a little inside handoff, and it gets blown up.
I tell you what, just a huge hit right there by number 23, Luke Franks, calling his number a bunch here in this second half, and he's pinned his ears back and he's playing hard. This game means a lot to Luke.
So we'll come back with a Spartan kickoff, and the Spartans have taken the lead here with 2:10 left in the third quarter. Hey, thanks to Dick's, where every season starts with Dick's, for being one of the lead sponsors, as always, for the INFC Championship Saturday. Thanks to Classic Chevrolet in Owasso for also helping us out. If you happen to own or operate an area of business inside the Indian Nations Youth Conference, if you'd like to be a part of all of this next year, give us a call at the office at 918-251-1015. Because to be honest with you, the more sponsorships we can get, the easier it is for us to make these games possible. And this means a lot, not only to the parents, but it also means a lot to these kids to be able to go back and re-watch them and actually see themselves on television for the first time in their careers.
And I can't tell you how many of our players, you know, talk about it, go back, you know, they'll have a copy of the DVD, and they come back years later. In fact, a few years ago, before our 2014 state championship team game, we had a Bixby Red team that had won it several years coming up through, and those guys wanted to watch it the night before the state championship game in 2014. And it's just a special deal when these guys get to play in this game, get to see themselves on TV. And you know, you talk about in Oklahoma why football is important. Well, it starts right here. You know, such a good product in the INFC, and I think that's why you're seeing the Edmond schools, Norman schools, and some of the teams from the other side of the state join in the INFC, and seeing their level of football pick up as well.
The Spartans go kind of with a little squib-style kick, but it's fielded by Will Ward, and the Tiger offense will come back out, and they'll be led out onto the field by number 54. We've talked about him quite often on defense, Kason Isham, but he'll also anchor the offensive line for the Tigers, and the ball spotted at the 39-yard line.
Here in third grade football, it's Iron Man football. These guys are playing both ways. They've got to be in shape. Of course, third graders, you don't see a third grader get tired very often. I've got a second grader, and you can't wear him down.
No, I had a coach tell me one time in baseball that we couldn't start a game because his 9-year-old needed to get stretched out. And I told him, Coach, he wakes up in the morning stretched out. It's me and you that have to go through stretching drills.
Yeah, you don't see a cheetah have to go stretch out before he attacks his prey. So that's what I always tell our guys. We do a little ballistic warm-up at the high school level, but really, you can go out and start going through some of your slower-paced drills, and these guys are ready to go. Broken Arrow coming out with a student body left right there, trying to get an overload formation and gap out the Bixby Spartan defense, and you see them recognize it there late.
Tigers go back to the shotgun, and they'll come right straight up the middle, and they will indeed jump in behind Isham. And number 23 also had a lead block on the play. That's Luke Franks.
Maddox Reagan in on a tackle right there. It's physical football right there. You see some guys getting down the field blocking. You see some guys hitting, tackling. This is a fun football game to watch if you're a football fan.
Well, now the Tigers, as we talked about, put it in their memory bank. They may be going back to that wedge formation that they ran the last two plays of half number one. And both of those were successful for at least about a 4-yard gain.
Yeah, it's kind of their patent play that Coach Vaughn talked about in pregame, wanting to stop, where they just interlock hands, and you saw them right there. And great counter right there by Bixby Red. They were down there working on their split six defense and what they were going to do to that, and I saw them with both A-gap players diving in, cutting right there, and it spills everything to the outside, which you see right there, and a great defensive call, great defensive stand right there by the Spartans.
That was Austin Bond there in the red helmet, or actually the white helmet, was able to put the hit on him. That was one of the times where it looked almost like the Tiger quarterback could have put that foot in the ground and got it north and south and had a little bit more success. They're back to the shotgun on second down. We do have a flag on the play, as Will Ward will keep the football, but we'll check the flag.
Broken Arrow lines up in that student body right there, and I just get the feeling that they're laying the foundation to come back to that counter misdirection play that they scored on earlier in the first half.
Signal is against the offense. I think we had a legal motion on the offense, so that's going to cost them 5. It's going to back them up to where they're going to look at a second down and about 14.
Just what we talked about there coming out of half. We talked about those drive extenders, drive killers. Very, very important that you don't put yourself behind the chains, and that's where the B.A. Black offense finds himself right here in second down and 14. Student body right. I would expect to see the counter coming back this direction.
Only 16 seconds left in quarter number 3. As Coach and I talked about, limited possessions in these third grade football games. And that will probably be, and it will be, the last snap of the third quarter. And so we'll move on to quarter number 4 with the Bixby Spartans holding a 13-7 lead. And I actually got a little ahead of myself as we have an injured Tiger on the field. So the official with 0.9 seconds will stop the clock. And now, as Coach Montgomery says, apparently they're going to run the clock on down to 0 and take us to the fourth quarter.
I think it will right there, because as soon as they spot the ball ready for play, since that was a run play, it should go ahead and start running. Unless for some reason Broken Arrow wants to be up there on the ball ready to snap as soon as they blow the whistle. So we'll see what they do. I bet they go ahead and blow it right here and take us to fourth quarter. Yeah, there we go.
That's why we pay you double what they pay me, because you understand the rules. I thought we were going to have one more play, but Coach is on top of that, and that will indeed take us to quarter number 4 with the Bixby Spartans leading the Broken Arrow Tigers 13-7, and we'll be back with that fourth quarter action right after this.
It's the sale you wait all year for. The 0-0 event going on now at Classic Chevrolet. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Chevy Silverados, only $399 a month. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Traverses, Camaros, Impalas, Malibus. 0 down, 0 first month's payment on Chevy Sparks, only $149 a month. 0 reasons not to get to Classic Chevrolet today. The 0-0 event going on now at Classic Chevrolet. Online at ClassicChevrolet.net.
As a mother of 3, I've seen the positive impact sports have on kids. At Dick's Sporting Goods, we believe everyone should have the chance to play. And if cost ever gets in the way, that goes against everything we believe. So we're stocking new gear at lower prices and introducing the best price guarantee. If you find a lower price from a competitor, we'll match it. Because it's not enough to offer you the best gear. We need to offer it at the best price.
Welcome back to Lee Snyder Stadium. In 8 minutes is all that's left to decide who will be the third grade INFC champion, Spartan or Tigers. Coach, excellent ball game on both sides of the ball.
Man, this is an exciting ball game, and it's a physical ball game. I tell you, the level of play I'm seeing here out of these third graders on both sides of the ball, they're physical, they use their hands, they run their feet, just great coaching. Tigers come to the line of scrimmage, and they look at 3rd down and 9, and they'll come right back up the gut, but the Spartan defense is having none of it. They'll clamp down to the inside, no gain on the play, 4th down. Yeah, the diamond formation, the overload, the student body, whatever you want to call it right there. Broken Arrow's got to be laying the foundation because they're getting the entire Bixby defense pulled over to the left side. I would expect to see the counter play that they scored on the long run in the first half. Right here, as a matter of fact. I know I've called that a couple different times and have been wrong, but it seems like that's what they're setting up because I know these coaches are just basically playing one big chess match. Well, Coach Theo actually will take a timeout, even though we just had the break for the quarter. This is basically will show you how important he thinks this play is to his chances of winning this afternoon, because if he turns the ball back over to Bixby, the last time they had it, they ate 6 minutes off the clock and came away with points. Yeah, and Bixby was fastballing on that last drive too. You know, if they get the ball back right here in a situation with 6 or 7 minutes, you know, if they milk the clock and they work slowly, there's no telling. They could probably run off the entire 4th quarter. So yeah, I think it's a wise decision to go ahead and take a timeout and get the right play called. Coach Theo, as you mentioned earlier, is no rookie in this situation. He's a guy that's brought several groups up. He's a guy that's been in these big games. And I tell you, for some of these younger coaches on his staff, they just need to sit back and listen and let him manage the game. Coach talked about the fact that when Bixby gets the ball back, they may actually kind of not fastball it. So kind of what he's saying doesn't happen too often, but people will actually do a little clock management. I don't know about you, Coach, but I get so frustrated with some of the style of college football now where everybody goes so fast, no one ever takes any time off the clock, and that's just not the way I like to play football. In fact, the Bedlam game, I said that was an embarrassment to college football. That looked like a junior high basketball game. I can tell you're a defensive guy at heart, Don, because defensive guys never like to see the back and forth, the up-tempo spread offenses. Seems like basketball on grass. And me as an offensive lineman, I like seeing offensive football, but I also like seeing some SEC, smash mouth, good defense out there on the field. Tigers come to the line of scrimmage, and they will go wide with their, not the traditional quarterback. Actually, they put number 22 behind the center. That was Preston Gudgel. He'll dive forward. It's a very, very important spot, but I see that the official asked for the ball from the Spartan sidelines. That gets a little excitement pumped up on that side of the field as the Spartan players know that they're 7 minutes away from holding the crystal ball. That was a gargantuan stop right there by the Spartans, and a great effort right there by the BA Black. Getting downhill and running and picking up extra yardage, but all in all, Bixby Red, bow in the neck, holding on 4th down. And this is a critical possession right here, and how Coach Vaughn and his staff manage this. It's important that we make several first downs from the Bixby Red offense. 7 minutes, 7 seconds left. But you can see the back judge is already counting them down. He's going to make sure that they don't
go into a stall too much, and the quarterback's into the secondary, 1st and 10 Spartans.
If I'm Coach Vaughn, I'm telling my offense to get up slow. I'm telling them to protect the football. I'm telling them to continue to grind up front, and it looks like right there did a good job getting over the right side. In the second half, we haven't seen many runs over the right side. And I wonder what Coach Vaughn and Coach Puckett have seen to maybe change their thinking right there. But excellent run right there.
Austin Vaughn actually goes to the sidelines, and he'll get the play from his dad, and he'll come back and put it back in motion with basically 3 in the backfield and 2 receivers split to the right side. And now we're going to come with that fake reverse again, and that freezes the defense, and Vaughn's into the secondary.
I think the freeze reverse is a good play. It takes a corner out of the picture because he goes and runs man and gets a soft edge, because those corners in this Broken Arrow defense are contained players. They're more of run stoppers because the threat of throwing the football isn't that great out there. So even if there's not a wide receiver lined up out there, they're lined up more like an outside linebacker.
This is my first opportunity to call either of these two teams, and it kind of makes me wonder if Bixby Red didn't have the reverse in earlier in the season, and that's why the Tigers are biting on that so hard. Is they've been talked to in practice about you got to honor that reverse, and now the Bixby coaches countered it by we don't reverse it, we're keeping it.
Well, it's disciplined football out there, and looks like Bixby was getting ready to come back with it right there. And then the unfortunate false start right there. And let's see how that plays out, because these are just absolutely critical. Hats off to the Broken Arrow defense for sitting in there.
Well, not only does it cost the offense 5 yards, well, now it's very important that the clock will now stop until we snap the football. Quarterback comes back down the line, got what we talked about earlier, number 22, Jakin Pierce with a pancake block that gave the quarterback the edge.
I think it's going to come back. It looks like we may have had a holding call there on the right side. Our wideout was coming down crack blocking, and it looks like maybe the Broken Arrow defender turned his back to him, and I think that's probably what the official saw, maybe a block in the back or a holding call out there on the edge.
So that's 2 plays in a row where the Bixby offense has stalled itself on penalties, and Coach, you're exactly right. You saw the hold on the far side. Oh, now we've got offsetting penalties. We had this one on the defensive side.
So it'll bring up 2nd down and 6 again. That's fortunate for the Bixby team right there to get that holding call waved off. Don, did you see what the defensive penalty was?
We did this to the heart, so I'm going to go with, I don't know.
I don't know what that one is. So nonetheless, offsetting penalties right here brings up 2nd down and a long 5.
I'm doing sign language up here like I'm on TV, and I forget all they hear is our voices, but I've never seen that signal before. High snap, but the quarterback pulls it down. He'll make something out of nothing and get real close to a 1st down.
Wow, great improv right there by 25. Austin Vaughn does a good job handling a bad shotgun snap and jumps up and grabs it. And credit to his offensive line for continuing to block. Number 45, we've seen him on the defensive side of the ball, Jack Gill. Number 39, Tegan Machado. Tegan's dad, Coach Machado, Jeff Machado, is an Oklahoma State offensive lineman and then also played in the NFL. And so I think that's why we're seeing such good line play out of this Bixby Red team.
With 5:45 left in quarter number 4, the Bixby Spartans will actually take a timeout. For those of you who missed it, the first ball game of the afternoon was won in Mighty Mites. The first grade was a 21-7 ball game, I believe. Indeed it was. 21-7, South Tulsa, the defenders, defeated Claremore Red. And then in ball game number 2, Stillwater Blue from the west side of the state defeats TYAA White 12-6. Kind of a little highlight to point out, that was the first 6 points that Stillwater had given up all year. They were able to come back and put a touchdown on the board late in the ball game to secure the crystal ball for them, and we're waiting here on the third grade game to see who will be crowned champion of the third grade division, either the Spartans or the Tigers.
That Stillwater team had some speed. I was watching that game from up in the office when we were breaking down last night's film against with our varsity against Stillwater, and that little Stillwater team displayed a ton of speed out there on the field. So I know Coach Barnard over there at Stillwater is going to be excited about those groups coming up, just in the second grade, but they'll be there before you know it.
Well, in the Claremore group, kind of a unique thing about them, that was the only kids that came out to play football in the first grade, and they put all 10 of them together, and next thing you know, they're in the championship final. So the Claremore group has some athletes on the way to their high school as well.
Yeah, you know, the younger grades, you're seeing a little bit of drop in numbers, and I think that's why. Oh,
Vaughn again with a bootleg, and you can see the coaches across the way for Bixby point that it's a first down, and indeed it is. The drive continues, and it's a big drive as the clock works inside of 5:30 in quarter number 4.
Love to see him grinding away at that clock right here, putting together a drive, execution, and it all comes down to fundamentals. We can all draw those plays up on the chalkboard, and they all look really good there. But how can your kids execute them? And so we're seeing that happen right here.
If you're a Tiger fan, you've got to be hoping for a turnover about now, because even if they do get the ball back, they will have about 60 yards to go. So Tiger fans are hoping for a turnover. Spartans just want to see the clock run out, and before the snap, we've got delay of game. And I know that can't make Coach Vaughn happy, because, again, that stops the clock. And
although it's first down, you're still looking at 5 minutes on the clock right here. So first and 15. 15 yards is hard to come by. So you hate to take that penalty. You want to snap it with about 1 second. What they're going to have to do is they're going to have to take a look at that umpire. And when he starts counting off with his hands, either that or put a coach over on the sideline with his wristwatch going so that he can yell to the team when to snap it. Clock management is key in this situation.
Well, you talked earlier about the fact that there is no play clock, so the quarterback's actually at the mercy of, as you talked about, either a coach or glancing back at the official. And Vaughn on that particular play, he took it off the right side again. He'll net 4 on the play, and we'll look at second down and 11.
Just like we talked about right there, Vaughn getting up slow, milking that clock just a little bit, and this clock management situation is key, because if I'm Broken Arrow Black, I'm preaching to my kids, hey, we get the ball back and score, and we get the 2-point conversion, we're champions. And they got to believe that, and they got to be playing that way, and I'm seeing some tough play out of those guys over on Broken Arrow's side.
Gavin Berger stepped up on the last play for the Tiger defense. He made the tackle. Tate Rowell will go in motion, and he'll set up on the right side for the Spartans. Vaughn's into the secondary. Big gain on the play.
Great crease over the right side. Great run. You know, I think a great decision right there by Vaughn, not continuing to stretch that to the sideline and stick his foot in with a one-cut rule and get vertical. Great run right there. Great drive. Great job overcoming the first down and 15.
That was actually Tate Roller, number 11. They put him in motion. He hesitated just a second to reestablish his position on the end, and he made the seal block, which allowed the quarterback to cut up inside him. I thought the Spartans might take another timeout, but I think that was just Coach telling the play to all of them rather than just the quarterback. The official saw that, and he made sure we were running the clock.
Yeah, and they want to make sure they don't use that timeout right there with the opportunity to run the clock down. If you're going to use it, go ahead and run that clock all the way down.
With 4 minutes left in the contest, as we talked about, the Spartans hold a 13-7 lead, and it's Austin Vaughn trying to get to the outside, and he does.
Great job with the quarterback keeper right there, making the contained corner miss that we couldn't block, and doing a good job getting an edge out there over the left side. Austin coming up with a little limp. Let's see if he's going to be able to fight through the pain right here and lead his team to a championship.
First and goal, ball at the 9-yard line with 3:35 left. And the Spartans will stay in the gun, and Austin Vaughn will stay in and run the offense. Direct snap goes to, actually the direct snap didn't go to Vaughn that time. One of the other backs lined up as a quarterback slot.
Yeah, that's Cole Sager right there, another name we've called quite a bit, one of the stalwarts for the Spartan offense.
Number 3 for the Tigers came down. That's Isaac Cole. He came down to make the tackle. He'll get some help. We keep calling his name, but Kason Isham again was credited with part of the tackle. We don't keep stats up here in the booth, but I promise you that's at least 15 tackles that Isham has turned in the ballgame. Tiger coaches were trying to make some adjustments on defense, and I'm not sure they got them done, as the Spartans will put it in the end zone. Yes, they do. That'll roll the score 19-7, and with only 2:42 left, Spartans are looking good here, Coach.
Yeah, Broken Arrow's going to need a miracle here, and once again, this is a big play, but Broken Arrow's going to have to get the ball. They're going to have to score quickly. Any razzle-dazzle, any bullets on the play sheet, then they're going to have to get the onside kick and have another miracle. So looks like Bixby may have sealed the deal right there with that score, but anything can happen in 2 minutes. We've seen stranger things happen here on Championship Saturday, Dom.
Well, we talked about it earlier. We had one last year that looked like it was going to be over in regulation, and one of the teams tied it on the last play of the game, and then we played 5 overtimes. First pass, caught for the point after. Who would have thunk it? Our first pass.
Yes, wide open on the 2-point play. The tight end pop pass to Cade Dinsmore right there. Excellent job, sure hands, went up and got it. Love it, love the call right there.
And even though it was a pass, and I know a lot of you who are watching football are thinking maybe that's a 2-point conversion, but no, here how we do it in the INFC, whether you run it in or throw it in, it's still just one. Unless you kick it, it's not a 2-point conversion, but that still was a big add-on point for the Spartans. That pushes their lead to 20-7, with just a little less than 3 minutes left in the ball game.
From a play caller standpoint right there, the conversion is a little less risky because at the INFC, at the high school level, they can't run it back for points should you throw an interception. And so on your 2-point plays, you can go to maybe something a little more risky with a little bit more trickeration. I know that's kind of our thought process a lot of times when we design our 2-point plays due to high school rules.
The Spartans will tee it up and they'll kick it away, and Coach probably summed it up about as well as we can say it. The Tigers at this point have to be hoping for a miracle, either a run back here, which I'm assuming that the Spartans will do all they can to avoid that by squibbing the kick, and then even if the Tigers do score, then they're back up against having to field an onside kick and go score again. And the ball pops off of one of the Tigers, and the Spartans will field it.
Oh,
and that will do it. I said they'd squib it. They kicked it hard, and I believe it came off his face mask.
Unbelievable right there. Unbelievable. I don't think that's the way either team had planned it right there, but, man, what a big play of the game right there. Kicking game, penalties, turnovers. I mean, that's what these championship games come down to.
Now you will see the Spartans do what Coach talked about earlier. Now you'll see them go to the working the clock situation where the
4-minute offense right here. 4-minute offense. I know they practice it. It's probably in their pregame that they do the day before game.
Isham comes down the line of scrimmage again. He'll help out on the tackle. He'll get some help over there from one of the linebackers. In fact, that's number 11 that was there as well, and that is Hudson Arnold. 2nd down, 6.
Right here, wanting to work the clock. Right here, Broken Arrow, don't give up right here. Strip the ball, chainsaw that thing out of there, continue to play, because you never know what'll happen.
Spartans stay in the gun. Vaughn will turn and hand it to the deep back, and as Coach talked about, the ball kind of was loose there for a minute as the running back had to regrab it. Tigers will gang tackle, but the Spartans are content with just watching the clock. Tick, 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 tick.
I see Coach Puckett talking to Sager down there, letting him know, hey, protect the football here, protect the football. The championship's on the line. And as a coach, you're so tense down there because it's never over till it's over.
So you mean at this point in the ballgame, even though you're up 13, you couldn't relax?
No, I have a hard time relaxing.
Even walking to the bus after you won,
until
as I
it
know
takes
you
off to 0, yeah, because we're already thinking about the next one
week.
then. Yeah.
I got you. Ball's loose. That's what Coach and I were talking about, and guess who knocked it loose? Is that Mr. Isham?
I think so. Right there, it was a bobbled toss play right there.
I actually give credit. I believe that time it was Jackson Ayers that got back there in a hurry, and he knocked the ball loose, but heads-up play by one of the down linemen for the Bixby Spartans. He'll dive on the football, and they'll keep the drive alive with only 53 seconds left till they're going to get to hold up the third grade INFC championship.
We'll give a shout-out to number 11 on the Broken Arrow Black, Hudson Arnold. He's had an excellent game right here. He's been all over the field. You know, just a lot of guys on that black shirt defense for the Broken Arrow Black. So impressed with the two football teams that are out here, the quality of football and just the fundamentals that the coaches have instilled in their athletes.
Well, I think we talked about it at the outset. Only 3 of these players on the Broken Arrow Black squad actually played football last year, and so there's good things to come if we can keep the coaching staff together and get most of the kids to come back. We should have big things coming from Black in years to come in the BA system.
Certainly, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Such a key component of football is continuity, making sure that the staff stay together, making sure that you keep the kids out, making sure that you keep everybody interested. There are just so many plates spinning when you're talking about this thing we call football.
Looks like the head coach for Broken Arrow, Coach CEO, is going over exactly how many timeouts he has left, and if I've kept track of it correctly, I think he only has 1, because I think he took one when they had the ball in the third quarter.
Yeah, on one of their 4th down plays, I think they had to use a timeout, and this is going to bring up a 4th down situation, high snap.
Once again, the Spartans will fake the reverse, and Vaughn's into the secondary.
He stays in bounds right there. Great job by Vaughn staying in bounds. They'll move the chains, and as soon as they spot the ball ready for play, that's going to run it down. And really right here, Bixby should be able to take a knee and go ahead and begin the celebration.
So I don't get in any trouble. Apparently they threw me a curveball again, and that was not Vaughn. That was Cole Sager that lined up in quarterback on that spot. And as Coach talked about,
those two guys, 25 and 26, Austin Vaughn and Cole Sager, have been so good today, protecting the football, sticking their foot in the ground, getting positive yards, and right there, clock management, staying in bounds.
Well, Coach talked about you can take a knee and they'll still stay in the shotgun in order to do it, and that was one of the times the coaching staff did indeed. He looked at the back judge, and when he got to 4, he snapped the football, and that's going to close it out. The Bixby Red Spartans are the 3rd grade INFC champion. Hats off to Coach Clint Vaughn and his entire staff of Puckett, Coffey, Rowland, and Machado. Now all that's left to do is to hand out the hardware, but of course the all-important handshake between the two teams. And Coach, if the 4th grade game is anything like the 3rd grade game, you're in for another good one.
I love it. I love the quality of football we've seen here today. I love the intensity by these players. I tell you, football in Oklahoma, you know, has a lot to look forward to if this is what we're going to see all day on Championship Saturday.
Well, coming up next, as we talked about, the 4th grade will be a 4th grade shootout between Bixby Red and our first team from the west side. We'd like to welcome the Edmond fans to INFC Championship Saturday TV. They'll be in the 4th grade ball game coming your way next. We can run down the scores of some of the other games. In the 1st grade game, it was 21-7 South Tulsa. The 2nd graders, Stillwater, came back to beat TYA Blue 12-6, and you just watched as Bixby Red defeats BYAA. No, that's baseball, sir. Brooke defeats the Broken Arrow Tiger Black squad by a final count of 20-6. We'll go down the field to Charity for the trophy presentation.
Chad Lott here to present the awards.
All right. Richard CEO, Broken Arrow, Black, 3rd grade. Congratulations on making it to the championship game and a hard fought. Coach, congratulations to the 3rd grade Bigsby Spartans on your championship victory.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
show respect to that team. Let's
Take a knee. You got to step back. Take a knee. Step back.
I am here with the championship winner with the Bixby team.
Boys,
How does it feel to have turned the game around offensively and win?
Oh, it feels good. It feels good. I think we took us a half to kind of figure out what we needed to do to win the game. The boys executed great, and it worked out for us. So.
Your quarterback, was he key to this game? He's been throwing a lot of great plays and winning a lot of great passes.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it starts with the quarterback, getting the team to the line, getting the snap off in time, and we switched a couple of kids around back there in the second half just to with some different plays that we needed to call. So I'm proud of all the boys. I mean, we had a little trouble blocking them at first, but they made adjustments and got it done.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks a lot, Charity and Coach Vaughn, and that'll wrap up the third grade championship game with Bixby Red coming away with a 20-7 victory over the Broken Arrow Black Tigers. And coming up next, fourth grade shootout between the Edmond Bulldogs and the Bixby Red Spartans. That ball game comes your way next on INFC Championship Saturday.